Hey guys, in this video, I want to show you a school configurator that we have built in Giraffe, leveraging the work done by SINSW. So that's Schools Infrastructure New South Wales. Now, this is not endorsed by Schools Infrastructure New South Wales. I'm literally just using their components because I think they're great. They're on their website. You can go and look at them. They've got this cool EFSG, these cool Lego logos. And what they've done is they have productized the school. So they've looked at every kind of space that goes into a school. They've analyzed it, they've gone to the stakeholders, and they've defined very tightly what those spaces are. So in terms of their spatial arrangement, their structural grid, their furniture, their FF&E, the circulation, the cores, the balustrades, the facade treatments, the vertical circulation stairs and lifts. Everything that you need to know about how to put a school together is described very tightly in these blocks. And the idea here is the blocks are kind of like products that you can configure just like little Lego blocks again and again and again. So there is obviously a reduction in flexibility. Like the structural grid that they use is 7.5 meters. So if someone comes up with a bright idea that it should be 7.6 meters or 7.8 meters, that's out of the window. That is not possible. That question is answered. So there is a loss of flexibility, but the gain is so profound, and what I'll show you over the next sort of 8 minutes is how quickly you can go from nothing to something with this. It's amazing. And the example I want to use is of ordering a car. So if you go to a Tesla dealership and you say, I want a Model Y Tesla-based configuration in white, that is enough information. Those words are enough information to fully define your order. Just like in Schools Infrastructure, in this new world, if you say, hey, I want a PAT SINSW FTX, blah, that's enough information to fully define this space, its requirements, the desks, the windows, etc. in an ideal world. As soon as you change that, as soon as you say, hey, I want more flexibility, I want a Model Y-based configuration. However, I've got long legs. I want to extend the car by 12 centimeters. That's gone, right? Everything's gone. Now I need a longitudinal section of the car, because exactly where do I extend 12 centimeters? Does the windscreen change its slope to accommodate, or does it stretch out? The doors need to grow, the hinges need to be upsized because now the whole thing is kaput. And now for me to order a single customized Model Y 12 centimeters longer, I need to go through an entire design assurance process, because obviously I need to reroute the services through the vehicle. I need to get the structural engineers to coordinate with the services and the electrical engineers. I'm fully cooked. And so the way manufacturing works is you say there's no flexibility. If you want a bigger car, we've got a Model X, it's way bigger, right? For your long legs. Same thing with schools here. And so that precision and that conciseness that you gain by fully productizing is incredible.
Part of the process involved in this workflow that Rob's talking to is modeling these components or these pieces of the puzzle that we then plug into the algorithm in order to render that facade. So this is the facade component here, and I've got a number of different facades on the left-hand side. As I sort of toggle these on and off, we can see there's different variations. This one has a door. This one's got a lot more glazing, and then we're exploring some different colors with these options down below and some different window frames. So these facades are then broken down into further modular components. So we've got the right panel here, and if I toggle that on and off completely, that's broken down into the left and right panel. And then within that, we've got the louvers, the awning, the window, and all of these kit parts that go together to create this piece of the puzzle, which then fits together in a larger kit of parts. It's also a very intuitive piece of software to do modeling in. So if I sort of click here, we've got a little gizmo, can drag that out, resize it, and we've got all the properties functioning on the left-hand side in terms of the X, Y, and Z axis to define these different components that I'm creating, and then I plug them into the other facades.
And what it's meant we can do in Giraffe is upload these components very, very simply. So we just upload a simple geometric representation. It's actually so simple it doesn't matter, because it's just to get stakeholder buy-in and planning approval. Like, what does this look like in its urban context? Are the colors correct? Does this building have the right proportionality and urban presence? The rest of the details, the junctions, the clash detection, the materiality, the fire performance, the acoustic, the thermal, the structural performance, all of that stuff's here, right? I'm just using the same code and I'm never changing it. It's always the same thing. I'm just combining it in different ways. And so then what we're able to do is say, okay, we've uploaded these components into Giraffe. And now the scenario I'd like you to consider is that we have been given this new site. It's a brownfield site, so there's some buildings here. Let's add another one. Why not? And this site is no longer fit for purpose. They need to add another wing. And there'll be a brief, and there'll be like a business case, like how many classrooms. There's going to be population growth. There's going to be more children. There's going to be more education required. And so what we've built in Giraffe is this little widget here, that allows the user to assemble the components, the school's infrastructure components, in a way to meet the brief. And so let's say the first thing we're going to do is we're going to move this handball court, covered outdoor learning area over there, and we are going to draw a wing like this, and maybe for this particular site, which looks like a bit like a boomerang, we're going to make a bit of a boomerang wing, something like this. And what I'm going to try and do is not destroy that mature stand of trees, something like this. All right, great. Now I have the opportunity to refine this brief, and I'm using a shorthand here. So like an S is a staff room, G is a general learning hub, SG is a small general learning hub. And so now I'm just going to put in the brief. So I'm going to say 2 general learning hubs, and then a staff room, and then a core, and then a small general learning hub, and other side of the small general learning hub, a corridor, an additional corridor. All right, so that's that. And then over here, maybe we want, on the second run, we want a general learning hub, a staff, and another general learning hub. And now the next thing I better pull these immature trees back, maybe expand them like this. The next thing I'm going to do is just make sure that this stair arrangement is correct. A very similar thing, we can just add stairs sort of at intervals along the building. So goes 0.04, well, let's do this. 0.1 we'll add a stair, 0.4, 0.6, and 0.9. All right. And then the lift is in the middle there, and we could put the lift just a little bit back that way so it aligns with that corridor. And then maybe we do this stair back a little bit too. There we go. All right. And so now, using a few keystrokes and some logic that's been encapsulated in this Giraffe configurator, but which you never need to look at, I have met the brief, right? I've spoken about general learning hubs, staff rooms, cores. People say, oh, actually, no, we need another services core on this second wing. We could just add one. And maybe let's add 2 small general learning hubs like this. So it goes general learning hub, staff, small general learning, core. Or we can put the core close to the knuckle of the building if we want. And you can see as I'm doing this, because I know precisely what this general learning hub is, it is one of these. I don't need to draw this stuff. I know this stuff. Like, this is a general learning hub. All these doors, these junctions, these details, this DOR 611, that's assumed. So my entire BIM model exists in pieces, and I'm just building the master planning version of it. And now we can do a bit of site planning. So we're going to have to destroy some of that car park over there. That's fine. We can keep the number of car parks there. These mature trees are saved, which is great. I'm going to just draw a little line to show where the main entrances are. And I'm going to draw like a nice building pad to show how we're going to landscape things. For this example, because I only have 2 minutes left, I'm not going to do the grading, like the cut fill, etc., which doesn't really lend itself to kit of parts, because you need, every site is unique. So there will be like a groundworks contract, and people will be looking at this stuff in the traditional way. But this orange bit, this master plan on the top, that's going to be standardized. All right, I'm just going to round these corners so it looks nice. There we go. That looks very nice. All right, cool. And now the fun bit. What we do is we click render facade, and these components that I showed you earlier are attached to the building. And that's that, right? Now the design team can look at these components and customize them. Say, hey, maybe these windows, maybe this is too regular. Maybe we want to break this panel up, and every second window we want to add a larger window or a smaller window. Or maybe there's a specialist window for the core that we want to use, the services core instead of this. And they can go wild within that framework. Or if speed and budget are the priority, this is good enough. We just literally say, yeah, this looks excellent. The community's stoked with it. It actually is a very good looking building. I think the design team on this, they did a great job. They've built like a really nice rhythmic facade that you just chuck it on. It actually looks fantastic. And we're good to go. And we have an LOD 600, whatever building you want, whatever level of detail you want, because you've got this huge backlog, this huge foundation of digital information that we're referencing directly without importing all the geometry, bringing all the meshes and all that stuff across. We've got the best of both worlds. We've got the speed and the flexibility here, and we've actually got the BIM, the building information modeling, behind the scenes. All right, so in summary, we have looked at what Schools Infrastructure have done. We've imported it into Giraffe as components. We've built like a master plan configurator that allows us to look at the program and the service demand for a particular site and to build an adaptive school that speaks to its context for a particular site. And then we've used an orchestra, a further bit of configuration to take the geometries and the BIM and the actual timber, glass and steel and apply it to our master plan in a single click, again, according to a set of rules. And so we've gone from nothing to something in no time flat. Just like if you go to the Tesla dealership, you say, I want a base model Y, you get it in no time flat. There's no longitudinal section. There's no coordination. There's no issue for construction, issue for tender version J. It just happens. Because once you make those decisions, you reap the benefit. And I think this looks incredible. I think this is such a powerful way of thinking about the built environment, combining master planning and site sensitivity and urban planning and a configurable set of components, and sort of we're mixing them up in exactly the right proportion so that the cake tastes delicious. I think this is unbelievable, and the built environment will be much higher quality because of this.